Hello everybody, welcome to the final round of the Casuals tournament. We have the top 4 players in this game: EvilDiablo, Clippy, Twodback, and Pavlos. It is a winner-take-all. Whoever wins this game does win the tournament. All points scored before do not matter. I'm Pavlos. Joining me today is Gameslayer, obviously back on Mars. What do you think about the map?
Specifically, we're on New Moscow, which requires electronics to be, which, you know, uses electronics, which is at half price, which is kind of interesting since we do have 2 factions that both want electronics. We've got the Nomads, who definitely have
nice silicon,
something they can do, although none of this silicon is actually connected, which is kind of weird.
But there's no
But then we
nukes,
also have robots.
That could be interesting. We also have elites, which I probably don't expect to see.
No, the silicon is too far away for the elites to do anything. We have 2 separate nomads here, none of which are going to be operating off of good silicon because none of it's ever adjacent. But that's interesting to say the least. The first expansive EvilDiablo.
2 highs.
Just going for a nice expansive
so
spot.
Separate is still decent amount
good.
of silicon.
3 highs for Clippy's sake, actually. Clippy decided to go into 3. No aluminium to
2
start.
highs and a medium.
Which is going to work. It's going to work, considering that they managed to buy what they need first already.
So EvilDiablo, first to found, first to HQ2, Pavlos finally founding as a robot in a whole bunch of aluminum, next to geotherm, and some iron down to the south.
That's not a terrible spot. You're going to be a bit struggling for water because EvilDiablo just stole all of it, but it's not a terrible spot. Your iron is pretty close by, and you've got plenty of space, which is something EvilDiablo doesn't have. He's going to be quite hemmed in by the rocks here.
Yep, Twodback with the upgrades.
Wow. That is a mean claim by Pavlos. Okay, Pavlos, stop doing it. I was going to say, that is an incredibly mean claim by Pavlos to claim that high iron tile to the right of EvilDiablo's base, just really, really messing with his space. But that's not what's happening after all. Meanwhile, we've got the 2 nomads. Twodback is gone into very heavy water, whilst the other nomad is going to food instead of water. A bit of teamwork going on there between the 2 nomads.
Yeah, I think Clippy's getting the better out of this deal simply because water is so cheap. Look at those farms making 101 each. And not to mention, Clippy's in some water, so if they really needed to, because aluminum's so cheap, they could, you know, move into a little bit of water just to take the edge off of it. But right now... And
it's very important right now which nomad upgrades to HU3 first, because that is a huge spike in the electronics price. 40 electronics used plus being a New Moscow, that is going to be a huge spike. And neither of them bought the electronics up, so yeah. Clippy got a huge advantage over Twodback there.
Yeah, don't forget the robot's going to be needing 40 electronics too.
But the robot is not going to be HU3 yet. The robot is incredibly slow, and they started with the electronics they needed, didn't they? So
yes, they do. Twodback finally going into some life support, moving into electrolysis reactors, which still are strictly worse than farms, so I'm curious as to why that's the decision. Clippy transitioning out of silicon into 3 separate solar panels. EvilDiablo, HQ3 moving into some farms themselves. And Pavlos taking
this is a really good game for Diablo so far.
Iron.
Yeah.
Why is Pavlos going into so much iron?
I think he really just wanted to mess with Diablo and had an excuse with all this iron, honestly. Like, okay, so Diablo is barely going to cover his own iron costs, so if Pavlos wanted 2 separate irons, he could have probably just taken a medium and a low. That would have been worth it more, I think, but he didn't.
Extra claim? So, okay, it didn't go for 12, I was going to say.
Yeah, Diablo is actually taking a geothermal, which he's already paid for at this point. Diablo is looking very strong right now, just off of the back of this food and stuff, and he's ahead of... Oh, Twodback did actually manage to just upgrade just now, but he is quite ahead of the nomads at this point.
Well, everybody has about the same amount of cash on hand, just quibbling between, you know, 5 to 13, but Diablo is going up the fastest. He's
I really wish that these solar panels were adjacent. It'd be worth it to pay 6k for a claim to make sure that there was some of this adjacent, because none of these solar panels are doing very much.
No, I mean, They might barely pay off all of Clippy's debt. The power price isn't going down, but then look, Silicon going back up again. So yeah.
Clippy is also very interestingly. Ooh, EMP got countered. Oh, 1 in 3 and missed it. That's unfortunate for Diablo. But Clippy's actually even bought a spy at those farms for Diablo. That's very strange. And Twodback got frozen on his chems, which were making a lot of money. Clippy at this point is probably regretting heavily the fact that he went into so much solar panel now that it is night.
Yeah, solar panels do, and then now he's transitioning back out. Did pay off a lot of debt, but just delayed the upgrade to HQ4 a lot.
And this HQ4 upgrade costs 60 electronics. You know, you don't want Twodback to be able to get that 60 electronics before you.
Well, Clippy does get secure 60 electronics before Twodback.
Good.
Or Pavlos does. Pavlos just getting up to HP3, still 3 claims to pay. And now there's a dust storm, so Clippy's really glad they just got out of those
definitely, although his primary income source is the farms right now, whereas his opponent's is the chems. But no one's really into oh wait, no, yeah, no. Twodback is in electrolysis, so this is really good for Twodback. To everyone else being into something that gets hurt by dust storms.
Pavlos moving into double wind turbines. That is a moderate and a moderate, triple moderates in a row. But power so
get
high.
That goon squad. Get that goon squad right now. Yep, he got the goon squad good because
gotta place it.
Clippy is on a warpath with these with those EMPs right now. Twodback upgrades to 4 first, despite the fact that he couldn't secure his electronics first. But Clippy's very close behind.
Yeah, very close. It is neck and neck between these two. But EvilDiablo upgraded to 4 first as an expansive, and that's not something you want to see as a nomad.
And he has claimed that million-mile away silicon tile.
And a really far away elemental quarry. But yeah, that silicon tile is even further away.
Why did he take that carbon quarry? There's closer carbon.
It's also a low, so I don't know.
I guess not. I guess that one is adjacent to the other. Is adjacent if he wants to go into 2, but. I would just say I don't think he's ever going to go into a second carbon quarry, so I don't think he needed to take that one so far away. Especially with this carbon scrubbing that just picked up.
It's carbon scrubbing. Let's see, Pavlos making 1.2k off of those wind turbines right now. It's going to pay through all their debt very fast.
That might bring him back into this game because he was struggling very heavily until just now.
Power price isn't dropping rapidly enough, so should actually make some power money off of this. EvilDiablo
quite a bit of it as well. The geothermals
debt.
are up, but the geothermals are covering everyone else's power. Twodback actually is also in 6.9 power a second right now.
Oh yes, 2 wind turbines of their own.
And 2 geothermals. But
2 wind turbines and 2 geothermals?
And 2 geothermals.
Oh, there we go. So the other HQ. That is a lot of power. Well, that's going to crash the price a little bit quicker than Pavlos would like, but Pavlos paid through all their debt and earning 500, 400 a second.
And, you know, they did have the carbon income, so it was worth it for them, but that is a lot of carbon that they have as income. So they were really unhappy to see that carbon scrubbing go. In general, anyone being able to get carbon scrubbing is unfortunate for him, and he's going into teleportation as his first pan.
What does Pavlos want that's long range that requires teleportation? Water?
All of the silicon is being claimed at this point, right? Apart from 1 medium. So, not silicon, probably.
Must be thinking about going into some low waters because there's really nothing else that's the one thing
that's
that
a
Pavlos
possibility.
is
That is a good possibility, but I don't know, like, as a robot, you can generally go into superconductor and keep the price of power low anyway, and that is your shipping price. Power is your shipping price, so you tend not to worry about shipping costs as a robot compared to other factions.
This teleportation play is also delaying Pavlos' upgrade to HQ3 from 3 by a lot. Yeah. Twodback is already 5 along with EvilDiablo.
Yeah, if he cancelled that, he could afford the upgrade. That's a huge, huge difference there. He's not gonna. The problem is he spent all of the power money on something that he hasn't. That won't make him money. Adaptation doesn't make money. It just stops you losing money. And the final silicon quarry has just been claimed by Twodback as well. But yay, you have teleportation, Pavlos. Good for you.
So it's definitely looking like we're going to be between EvilDiablo and Twodback, as both of those are HQ. Clippy to 5. Clippy needs another 40k to upgrade, most of that in the silicon.
Was Diablo first again? With that upgrade?
That sounds right.
Lincoln Neck.
Nope,
he's doing
neck.
very well for himself. I just want to point out this optimization center of Twodback's right now. I like the placement.
Find it. Oh, yes.
The middle HQ.
The building off the HQ. You can do that by... Anyone can do that, not just a nomad, by returning the claim after the optimization center starts constructing, or off-world, or whatever. Now, the only thing that won't happen is if you, say, try to hologram this as a water pump, the hologram won't stick.
Right. The hologram won't stick, and also you can't place another advanced building on there. Now there's an optimization center, it is forever an optimization center. But it is a good thing to do to reduce the power of black market, especially power surges, but also EMPs.
So Twodback going into thinking machines, Clippy going into slant drilling, EvilDiablo's patent lab is up but doesn't have anything.
Yes.
Researching, and Pavlos
Twodback stole and then gooned.
There we go.
Pavlos' their patent lab, so it's pretty good for him.
Yeah, going to get thinking machines out of that. We should probably look at the off-world prices. 25k launches, 23, 24. The prices themselves actually aren't that high, like 470, 410.
It's not a good off-world game right now. This is one of the few times where if EvilDiablo went into double optimization center, I'd be okay with that.
Well, they're finally going into virtual reality and a pleasure dome. The pleasure dome without virtual reality making 179. Well, 197. Sorry, once the
colony just popped and it gave him adjacency.
Losing 117 in debt. However, most of that power cost is covered for EvilDiablo because of their double geotherm, so not really caring too much.
I would like to point out Superconductor has not been taken by anyone yet. It doesn't look like anyone's going to take it. You'd have thought Pavlos would have wanted it, but he didn't.
I mean, Pavlos still could go... Well, Pavlos doesn't have the option of taking it if they wanted it.
Yes. Not now.
They still need to get the upgrade to HQ4.
Looks like Clippy's going to be able to take this Superconductor, and then his solar panel place might work. Okay. Yeah, Clippy just got out of his high and medium silicon. He just used the returner claims of Nomad, and now he's got because now that he's got slant drilling, he can finally combine it all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a nice little play, even if it's you're not going to want to keep those highs there. Is the problem. So
look at that adjacency bonus.
Congratulations.
That is a pretty good optimization center. Diablo, don't build a second one now. You have one optimization center that's practically two optimization centers.
Yeah, no need for a second.
Yep. Okay, so Diablo went two optimization centers this game. I'm not too opposed to that. But oh no, he's actually going to an actual second optimization center now. God damn it, Diablo! You don't need three optimization centers.
I'm not sure
if he's done the math on that.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I mean, so we did say it was low off-world markets. They are starting to maybe get better. 28k launches for food. It would only cost EvilDiablo 66k to put one of those up. But
I mean, he has an untouched market in the form of steel right now. He could definitely just be hacking steel, which he does have a hacker array for.
Something with a hacker array, optimizing fuel. Yeah, everything. Pavlos
He's gonna get so much.
HQ4, going for geothermal borehole. Going to complete in 6
where's your
seconds.
geothermal? Oh,
right next to.
That works. It's going to make him a good amount of money. Well, pay off a good amount of debt there, but he does not have access to the superconductor, unfortunately. Clippy did, in fact, beat him to it. And Clippy is not using it right now because solar panels are off.
Well, they're off. We'll be back on in 3 hours.
Soon they will be profitable. What a mutiny stole the pleasure.
Dome.
I mean, it's not really that worth it because it's not making much because of the power cost. Anyway. Diablo is indeed debt. And he's surplusing power. That's going to be annoying for Clippy and Pavlos, whose main money income is the wind turbines. Everyone's just, oh my god, this stock's out.
Into power themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're making 700, 800 off of it, so I'm not sure they actually want to surplus it.
Solar flare, though, you know, you don't need a surplus when solar flare just happens. Oh my god.
Financial instrument
so,
for Pavlos.
It's a decent one to take considering the debts issues right now. No one's going to get too out of debt because of the power issue right now. Clippy just destroyed that price along with Diablo.
Yeah, but, didn't get themselves out of debt though. But
this is just unfortunate for Pavlos because he was making the vast majority of his money purely off of those wind turbines. He's not been making much money this entire game.
No, you can tell because Pavlos is still in HQ4 at Sol 6 as a robot.
What engine just finished with Twodback, but Twodback only is using a tiny bit of fuel in the first place?
Interesting.
Why? I don't know exactly why he decided to go for it, but okay.
EvilDiablo is surplusing chems, Twodback is shorting chems.
No, Diablo is shorting chems.
I mean, sorry, the other way around.
The other way around, yeah.
But, well, I guess
something you don't see every day.
A large stockpile, and EvilDiablo is just going to continue to short chems.
Oh, there we go. I was going to say, that's something you don't see every day. Diablo's not got anything queued for it, not had anything queued for his optimizations for quite a while. But there we go, now he's got 6 things queued just before the surplus hits, so you know, he doesn't even get cheaper chems as a result.
Twodback moving into the first off-world, deciding that, well, that was actually an expensive off-world for Twodback to move into. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It is ungooned. Twodback does have a goon. Goons are 50k already.
And he also has the mutiny in case he gets muted.
Twodback does have thinking machines though. So probably that's why
pretty well from
Twodback decided to risk it. EvilDiablo moving into an off-world themselves. Their off-world cost a lot less thanks to the half steel to construct.
Also notice as well that Twodback, Twodback was buying into silicon because he realized that Clippy was out of it and then made a decent amount of money selling back out of it again when Clippy then bought into silicon in exchange. So they're just having a bit of a back and forth there.
Twodback going for a second off-world. Both of them are thinking machines and they are split between each of the base, so one EMP can't hit both.
Very defensive, very strong setup here. Food is now definitely worth launching.
So with these two off-worlds, Twodback might be able to catch up to EvilDiablo, especially if you can use those network viruses to hit through those goons, because those goons are expensive, and there are no dynamites, so you only can freeze or mutiny Twodback's off-worlds, and Twodback with thinking machines will get the better out of that.
Very much so. Also, fun fact, all 4 players have bought 2 claims.
Congratulations.
Oh, very nice, but who got the...
Twodback got the cheapest, but all 4 bought 2 claims. That's very, very surprising. That is so evenly shared.
So Clippy all of a sudden is sitting on a large amount of cash, but that's in a large part because they have not invested in any off-worlds and have been ignoring their debt again.
Yeah, that debt issue is going to be a problem. This guy is allergic to just keeping 2 solar panels on at all times. Like, he goes between 3 and 0 all the time.
I mean, especially with superconductor.
Yeah.
Then you make it.
You don't even wish to keep your power stable.
Well, Pavlos finally making. Well, going on top of the geothermal plant on top of the geothermal vent, so actually not making use of the geothermal borehole. We do have mutinies going back and forth.
But I will say, just remember, he is a robot, so it's providing adjacency to all his buildings because it's a power building.
Yes, that's true. Alright, so Twodback did finally get the better out of that mutiny deal because they're going to control EvilDiablo's offworld for 120 seconds, versus EvilDiablo's only controlling Twodback's offworld for 60.
Alright, and the debt interest just hit. Diablo goes down into D+1.
Clippy D+3. Solar panels are back online, and power is somehow $300 despite superconductor.
He's putting down more panels. He's 6 panels at this point.
I mean, that's one way to make sure you get all the money and nobody else gets any.
The Twodback is also like, I'm just going to put down panels as well, and I actually don't have that much debt.
Yeah, so...
And the price goes...
But Twodback still has those geotherms.
That power price, 23 power a second, 29 power a second now for Clippy.
That'll pay through your debt pretty quick, and we do have the first buy.
Diablo dies. He was so strong that entire game. He just didn't manage to do it very much with his hacker array, and he just killed. Well, okay, there was no particular thing that caused him to lose that game. Right?
No, everybody else is like, we don't want an expansive to go late, so we're going to punish the expansive and buy them out.
Yep. Yep.
Which is a very valid strategy.
Which might be reflected. It might be reflected in the mod. He might come like 3rd place instead of 4th, as a result. Hopefully, at any rate.
Depends how much revenue he earned.
He had so much optimization centers, so many optimizations as well, but he didn't need to have another optimization center. But again, he went into a perfect. I mean, it was food, which is the launch, and he went into chems this time, so I guess it's not too bad.
A little bit better than the last game as far as the optimization goes, but you know, unfortunately, FFA,
This is how it
with 4
works.
equal players, you only have a 25% chance of winning.
Even if you're looking that strong, you can still just not be quite as optimized as everyone else in your production. Just fall behind. In this case, he just didn't manage to get his power situation under control like the rest of the players. I think he thought it was going to remain under control because Clippy was heavily invested in power at one point, but then Clippy got rid of all of it. So
yeah, Clippy going back and forth between the power definitely did hurt EvilDiablo there.
Clippy's making a silicon play right now. He's making a silicon play right now. He froze out all of the silicon on the map and is now just holding onto it. He's hoping he can do something with it. We'll see.
Twodback is shorting iron. Twodback and Clippy are going to go into each other, and Pavlos is just going to sit here on the sidelines and try to earn as much money as possible and maybe sneak in a buy or something like that to remain relevant.
It's going to be difficult for him. He needs power to remain strong, which means he needs Clippy to stop baking power.
Well,
because that's all he's really got going for him, just
Clippy
a lot of power.
has shown, you know, that they will stop making power, but 250 per tile means you're not going to turn that off for a while.
I will point out that one of those stock in Clippy is Pavlos, so they are neck and neck right now to Clippy and Twodback, but Clippy does not have the off-world advantage.
Right. So Twodback, let's check the offload prices. 49k launches finally went up. Well, it's now sold 9, so it makes sense that they would be up by now. So
meanwhile, he's also ahead in optimizations. There's nothing Clippy has an edge on apart from the fact that he's got a pleasure dome.
And hacking.
And hacking.
Clippy
no, Twodback's hacking, not Clippy.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Twodback had the hacking. What Clippy has is 2 claims that they got for actually finishing the buy on EvilDiablo.
That is very true.
But it's not enough.
Not going to be enough. This was a very quick buy considering how early the other one was, and then that's going to be an entire stock that's going to be all of the EvilDiablo stock, and that is a very powerful subsidiary.
Right. I mean, just half of that stock's making, 1.2k a second.
And that Sub-Zero had been building it off the second offload. They hadn't even started launching from the second offload.
Yeah, by the time Twodback picks up Clippy, we'll have all EvilDiablo will probably be making close to 3K a second, and Pavlos' 400K cash lead stockpile is just not going to cut it.
It looks like it's just going to be Twodback just picks up the rest of this game. Unfortunately, Pavlos does have at this point a good cash stockpile, right? He's just been sitting on the back of all this food and power has crept up once again, and he's making a good amount of money off of this. But without a hacker array, it's going to be difficult to transition that money into anything, especially when Twodback finishes Clippy off and then gets all the stocking himself.
Clippy moves out of power, and then power price immediately rises.
Yep.
Twodback has the buy. Just gonna wait for these last offload launches to finish out, and maybe a hack to go through. Well, actually, doesn't have any stockpile in the electronics. There's the buy.
Pending market adjustments.
Twodback is going to buy the rest of his shares. Nope.
I mean, I see no reason why he can't. Like, even buying into Diablo will pay off at this point, considering how powerful that Sub-Zero is.
Yeah, buying into Diablo probably a good choice. And
He's currently messing around with returner claims, which is interesting. That's another thing, by the way, I would like to mention with the optimization center being where it was. He can return a claim to take back that potentially worthless claim. So it's very safe to do that as a nomad.
Yeah, Twodback is making a little bit shy of 4K per second off of both subs. Twodback only needs the 768 to get the buy total. Pavlos, on the other hand, needs 1.25 million. So this is definitely going to be a victory.
Yep, he's got a huge stockpile of food, but that food price is just going down, not up right now.
Yeah, that's one of those, I'm not sure why Pavlos has such a huge stockpile. Everybody else is in the food. All the subs, at least one of the subs is in food. Nope, both subsidiaries are in food.
I think he didn't have that stockpile before. I think he just bought it once Twodback bought into Clippy. I think he was hoping to make a quick buck off of all the subs, you know, just launching food, but they have enough to cover themselves from those perfect optimizations of EvilDiablo.
Yeah.
And that will be the game.
Yep, Twodback just needs to get a few more launches, and then Twodback will be the victor in this tournament. The uncontested victor by finishing first in the last place game. There's that red buy button, and Twodback takes it. Well played.
Well played. The only one who was able to really launch anything, got into them early, noticed that they would be powerful, and just won from there with his thinking machines.
Yep. EvilDiablo giving the same comeback as the previous game with Clippy.
Half bought him.
Yeah, you can just look here at the biggest money maker. 238k in electronics for EvilDiablo, 334k in silicon for Clippy, and then 1.2 million rounding up in all launches for Twodback.
Like, if you look at balance sheet, you've got Clippy there, who got 1.2 million in business net revenue, and then Twodback 2.6. Basically, all of that just from the offworld. He was a Clippy and then an offworlds as well. EvilDiablo did, however, get tied for second place with Clippy somehow.
You can scroll up and see why EvilDiablo was rated better than Pavlos when he got bought out, tied with Clippy. So scored 1 point for being better than Pavlos, half a point for Clippy. Clippy scored 1 point for being better than Pavlos, so they earned the same amount of points. That's why there's a tie.